Hello everybody, and welcome back to a brand new video. Now the other day I was kind of curious, what actually are the rarest drop rates in the entire game? Now I'm not talking about what potential combination of drops would be the rarest, because honestly I don't know if that's as interesting, and there's probably thousands of different combinations of drops that could get you into the 1 of the 1 millions or way higher. So today I'm going to be focusing on singular drops that you can get from monsters, drop rates that are listed directly on the wiki. And I'm going to be going over the top 15 that I managed to find. Honestly, there were probably a couple that I missed, but I took out repeating drop rates. Like for example, at least 15 of these items could be clue scroll rewards, but that's not as interesting. So I have a combination of PVM drops, a few clue scroll rewards, pet drop rates, and stuff like that. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and let's get started. Now, one last thing I wanted to mention before we get started is this isn't really a list based on, for example, the time it would take to get these drops, because a 1 out of 1,000 chance of getting something from a goblin is going to be a lot easier to get than like a 1 out of 128 chance of getting something from Bandos, for example. So this isn't really based on the time it would take to get the drop, just pure numbers. Now first up here, there are drop tables for the God Wars minions that have some pretty rare things on them. They're all 1 out of 16,000. For example, there's a 1 out of 16k chance of getting a Bandos chestplate, Bandos tassets, or Bandos Boots, and this holds true for all of the God Wars bodyguards. For example, Wingman Scree, which is an Armadil bodyguard, has a 1 out of 16k chance of dropping all of the Armadil items, which makes this drop rate pretty rare, although quite a few people have gotten it. Next up here is a drop from Barbarian Assault. Now if you are competing in Barbarian Assault and you do the high gamble, there is actually a 1 in 16,000 chance of getting a Dragon Chain Body, which I didn't actually know this drop table existed. And also there's about a 1 in 16,000 chance of getting a Dragon Med Helm, which would be kind of disappointing. Now next up here is Mithril Dragons, and they have a 1 in 32,768 chance of dropping a Dragon Full Helm. Now if you also consider the fact that they drop chewed bones, this drop rate is reduced a bit, because you have a 1 in 42 chance of getting a chewed bone, and if you burn it on a pirate ship then you have a 1 in 256, but regardless a 1 in 32k chance, and considering how slow it is to kill Mithril Dragons, you will be working to get this. Now there's another really extremely rare drop rate from another PVM boss, and that is the Smoke Devil. When you kill the Smoke Devil, there is actually a 1 in 32,000 chance of getting a Dragon Chain Body, which one of my friends actually ended up getting. It's not impossible to get because Smoke Devils are killed pretty quickly, but still exceedingly rare. Now Abyssal Demons have been in the game for a long time, however the Abyssal Sire has been added with Oldschool Runescape, which actually made one of the first changes to the Abyssal Demon drop table in some time. Now they actually have a very rare chance of dropping an Abyssal Dagger, which is also 1 in 32,000. Okay, so next up here is a drop from the Alchemical Hydra. Now I tried not to include too many rare drop table items because they're just really not that interesting, but I decided to throw one in here. Now the Alchemical Hydra does have access to the rare drop table at a rate of about 1 in 102. Now you're going to get 2 rolls on it if you hit it, but that still makes the chance of getting a Rune Javelin from the Alchemical Hydra 1 in 42,000, the base rate being 1 in 82,000, which makes this one of the rarest instances of the rare drop table as far as I'm aware. Okay, so next up here is a hard clue casket, not too surprising, but the individual chance of getting a 3rd age piece, for example the 3rd age full helmet, from a hard clue is 1 in 211,250. We all know 3rd age for being extremely rare, and it is if you are looking at individual items. If you're looking at 3rd age overall, the drop rate gets a lot better, but obviously still extremely unlikely. Now a little while ago the drop table was released for Revenants, and there are some hilariously low drop rates on here. Now if you kill the Revenant Imp, which does have the lowest drop rates on it, and you're not skulled, there is a 1 in 220,000 chance of getting one of the wilderness uniques, for example a crossbow, Thammaron Scepter, or a Vigorous Chain Mace. Almost 1 in a $250,000 chance of getting one of those items from a Revenant Imp. That said, if you are skulled, it goes up to 1 in 77k, but you know what, that's still pretty rare. Now coming up next here is Master Clue Scrolls. Now we all know that Master Clue Scrolls are pretty hard to complete and time consuming. So the drop rates here are obviously going to be probably one of the hardest ones to ever hit. Actually, I'm going to say it's probably impossible to do this many masters, but the individual drop rate on a piece of 3rd Age from a master clue is 1 out of 313,000. Which makes these drop rates ridiculously rare. Now, most of the 3rd Age items are dropped on Elite and hard clues, which means, for example, the 3rd Age full helmet isn't really as rare as 1 out of 313,000. However, the 3rd Age Druidic Top, the 3rd Age Druidic Robe Bottom, and the 3rd Age Druidic Cloak are only dropped from Master Clues, which means getting those items is exceedingly rare, and that is reflected in the price. Barely anybody has 3rd Age Druidic because of just the sheer impossibility of it. The 3rd Age Druidic Top is 1.4 mil, which is crazy considering it's pretty much just a cosmetic. Now next up here is actually an Elite Casket. It's kind of interesting because Elites are, well, easier to complete than Masters, but the drop rates for 3rd Age are lower. Now again, I'm not taking into account a lot of factors here. I'm just trying to keep this as simple as possible. When you open up a casket, you have quite a few different rolls of an item. For example, the drop rate for Elite 3rd Age is 488,000, yet you are going to get multiple rolls at that every single time. So while that is the true drop rate, it's not really an accurate representation, but again, I'm trying to keep it pretty simple. Okay, so next up here we have our very first pet, and that is the Rock Golem. Now you're able to get the Rock Golem whenever you are mining something, and the chance of you getting the Rock Golem goes up with your mining level. However, the base chance of getting it at level 1, if you were mining, for example, clay rocks, is 1 in 741,600. So we're getting pretty close to a 1 in a million chance of getting it. Obviously, as you gain more levels and move up to higher level ores, the drop rate gets a lot better. Runite rocks, it's 1 in 42,000, but still a pretty impressive drop rate. Now next up here is another pet, and that is the Heron pet. Now I've actually gotten this before, and I ended up getting it from a rainbow fish. Now that only had a drop rate of 1 out of 137,000, which I mean is still pretty rare considering who is fishing rainbow fish. However, if you are fishing minnows, you have a 1 out of 977,778 chance of getting it, which is again the base chance. Now those are numbers provided by Jagex. Now the reality here is that you can't fish minnows at level 1, so getting a pet from a shrimp at level 1 is probably the rarest at 1 out of 435,000. Now next up here we have another PVM drop, and that is for the Bandos Boots or the Armadillo helmet. Now when you are doing an Elite Clue Scroll and you do a coordinate step, you will actually have to fight either an Armadillian guard or a Bandosian guard, and they actually have a 1 in a million chance of dropping both the Armadillo helmet and the Bandos Boots, which I think is the most rare drop from a PVM monster. I don't know if it gets more rare than that, at least from a singular drop. Like, I thought getting a piece of Bandos from the bodyguards was insanely rare and nobody would get it, but this is like actually 50 times more rare or something, which is almost beyond comprehension. And I'm pretty sure a few people have gotten this now, but it's very uncommon. Okay, next up here is the Tangleroot Pet. Now obviously these have pretty insane drop rates just because of the base chance and the fact that you can get multiple items at once, but the base drop chance of getting it from the Tithe Farm is 1 in 7.5 million, and that has been confirmed by Mod Kiernan. Now again, it's going to be 1 of the 7.5 million for each fruit harvested, so it's going to go pretty quickly, but still that is such an insane drop rate. And last up here we have the infamous bag full of gems. Now you can obtain this by trading in 40 gold nuggets to Prospector Percy's nugget shop, and each bag contains an assortment of 40 noted gems. Now there are the gems Sapphire through Dragonstone that drop at a common rate. However, there is actually a drop there for an uncut onyx that is actually 1 out of 100 million. That is the actual drop rate they put there. Now, as always, it's not as simple as that. That is the base drop chance, and you get multiple rolls per bag, but still 1 out of 100 million, that is insane. Now, recently there was a Reddit post of an image showing somebody getting this, but it turned out to be fake, and I believe they confirmed that nobody has ever gotten this drop before. To begin with, 1 out of 100 million is so rare, it's hard to comprehend those odds, and 2, not a lot of people are turning in bags full of gems, which means this chance isn't rolling that frequently, so I don't know if we're ever going to hit this, maybe eventually. But that makes this by far the rarest drop rate in the entire game, and I don't think a singular drop rate comes close to this. But anyway guys, that is going to be it for today's video. Let me know if I missed something because there are a lot of drop rates out there, and I'm kind of keen to know if there's any out there that I don't know of. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would appreciate it if you left the video a like or a suggestion on how I could do a future video. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.